Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy right over here is Tim, and you have found the Second Legacy, and thank you so much for stopping by. On today's episode, we're going to dive into something that is becoming very familiar for a play from the left in order to infringe your gun rights. The lawsuits in the court system, all about what seems to be financial means, and we're going to get that in 1 second. Now, if you are new or you are a subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by. If you happen to not be a subscriber, we would love to have you jump into the fold and help the channel grow. We need as many of you as possible to join with us so we can pass the Second Amendment on to the next generation, and any consideration, we deeply appreciate it. And the content today is brought to you by AccuFire. AccuFire has made this possible, and if you are looking for something to help you see a little bit clearer the next time you're at the range, check them out. There's a link in the description box below, and thank you so much to AccuFire for making this possible. And the last announcement we will say, if you guys want to do a call-in segment onto the show, there's a Google form right down in the description box. We would love to have you call in, ask us a question, start a conversation, and we hope to see you on that forum. But with all the introductions out of the way, Tim, we're going to dive into this whole lawsuit thing. There's another one, this time going against Sturm and Ruger. What do you think? How you doing? Let's start this bad boy.
Well, let's just call him Ruger, because that's what everybody calls him.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, this is typical stuff. We're dealing with this fairly regularly now because Remington was pretty much torpedoed by a similar lawsuit based on marketing, because we actually have a federal law that prevents gun manufacturers from being targeted and harassed to the courts under product liability type stuff, right? Let me rephrase that. So firearms manufacturers, just like auto manufacturers or anybody that makes a manufactured good, still has product liability as if the product doesn't work properly.
Correct.
But what the federal law protects from is a product that's working properly being sued because it's working properly. Let me give you an example.
Correct.
If I buy a knife and I go out and I cut something I shouldn't cut, I can't go back and then sue the knife manufacturer because their product worked and I misused it. And that's what federal law protects against. But what it does not prevent is this onslaught of ridiculous lawsuits based on marketing. So,
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so interesting about this, is because we've highlighted a bunch. We've had offline conversations. The gun controllers are going to try every avenue possible. They want their means. They want their outcome, whether it's legal, whether it's adjustment, whether it's different laws being passed, which is not happening. So they're going to go through different ways. First, they'll go through lawsuits. They'll go through court systems. And when that gets smoked, #Bruen decision, they start going after the financial infrastructure. Now, the law that he was referencing, if you guys are curious what it's called the PLCAA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. This is a federal law which prevents this very same thing from happening to gun manufacturers on a federal level. Now, some backstory here, and Tim mentioned Remington. Technically, Remington didn't actually make that deal. It was the insurance companies that were working on behalf of Remington. That's what started this whole thing. And the backstory on this, you've got a pretty long history that ever since that occurred, you've got the president come out and signing executive orders focusing on marketing techniques. That happened on Tuesday. Last year, you had the Rules and Oversight Committee, chaired by Carolyn Maloney, bringing in the CEOs of gun manufacturers and berating them in front of the entire public around marketing practices, wouldn't you know it? And now, just a couple days after that executive order, you have a new lawsuit against Ruger, as Tim so poignantly said. This is nothing less than, if I can't get my laws, I'm going to get it one way or the other. They're trying to break the infrastructure of the gun companies. Now, they're not going to do it, but this is their strategy if we're doing it, and we're about to dive into this. So the context, just to set this up and lay the playing field perfectly flat, this is a follow-up on the Colorado tragedy that happened 2 years ago that's being opened up in Connecticut court. There is so much here. I mean, there's a lot of things here and a lot of details which we're about to walk into, which kind of points you in a very, very determined direction. I don't want to give too much away, but that's a pretty good setup. Wouldn't you say, Tim? Anything you want to add to that?
Nope. I think it's a perfect setup. And so let's delve into what it is they're trying to do. And again, this is all in an effort to get around the fact that they can't get things done legislatively that they want done either at the federal or state level. So now they're going to use the courts to try to bankrupt or harass gun companies out of existence, or to pressure them to stop selling particular products. That's what this is all about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And to give you guys kind of some backstory here, the reason Ruger is at the focal point of this is because it was a Ruger 5.56 pistol. That's what this was. Now, it was really interesting to see them get tripped up on the fact that it was pistol, was it a rifle, when this was all going down. But essentially what they're saying here is it was Ruger's fault around marketing. They caused this because they were irresponsible in their marketing practices, which is the exact same thing that you saw in the Remington case. This is very interesting because everything, like we talked about, has these tendrils that are just interconnected because they're going after marketing on something that had nothing to do with the case. In this exact lawsuit, they're referencing marketing to minors when the criminal involved wasn't a minor. It doesn't even make sense.
No.
But I mean, like, jump over to why they're doing it in Connecticut, because that violates the PLCAA. So why would they do Connecticut?
So let's take a look at number 3, shall we? Let's throw number 3 up there. All right. The lawsuit filed Tuesday in state court in Connecticut, where Ruger is based in Fairfield, accuses the company of marketing its AR-556 pistol in a reckless and immoral way that promoted its killing capability. It seeks an undisclosed amount of damages. Okay, so that sounds pretty nasty, doesn't it? I mean, boy, how dare Ruger go out there and do reckless and immoral marketing? So let's take a look at what
It must have been really bad.
Yeah, it must have been really, really bad. I mean, boy, I can only imagine what they must have put out there.
Right.
Mr. Producer, throw up number 3.2, please. The lawsuit against Ruger claims the company's marketing materials included similar phrases such as anything else would be un-American.
That is correct. That is what they are stating as misleading marketing practices against Ruger.
Reckless and immoral, folks.
Right there.
Reckless and immoral, right there.
Anything else would be un-American.
That's got to be worth at least $50 million.
I mean, at least, Tim, it's an undisclosed amount. And what makes it even better is the lawyer is actually encouraging other victims as well to join the lawsuit, to make it a class action lawsuit. Well, I wonder why a lawyer would be asking for more people to jump onto a lawsuit that's out of state, that's focusing for undisclosed amount of damages. Could it be maybe financially?
I don't know. You think about that. It's almost like lawyers are in business to make money or something.
Almost.
It's almost like they take 30 or 40% of whatever their winnings are.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought that making profits was immoral, but that's a separate little road we're not going to go down. Now, keep in mind, beautiful people watching The Second Legacy, this is based off the Remington case. So if I'm going to set this up for you as a point of contrast, I already showed you the terrible things from Ruger and their marketing. Anything else would be un-American. Mr. Producer, could you please put up 3.1? This is actually what they're basing it off of in the Remington case in Connecticut for Bushmaster. Quote, consider your man card reissued. That was the first travesty. The second travesty of which they're basing their lawsuit on is Ruger. Anything else would be considered un-American. They're deraveling. They're actually deraveling. I think they're actually deraveling.
You can't make this stuff up. I mean,
no, you really can't. And
I would expect an unbiased judge to look at this and just simply throw it out.
Oh, I would expect that. But now you brought up something very interesting, Tim. And this part really tickles my fancy, gets my attention going. Why would there be something that occurred, a tragic crime that occurred in Colorado, being actually placed in a Connecticut court? It seems out of place. Don't you think that would be done in Colorado? Because, I mean, after all, Colorado is actually trending towards a gun control state. So I'll tell you guys, you know what? I'll just cut to the chase. Connecticut, their high Supreme Court, the highest court in their state, said it was perfectly fine to pursue marketing against the Remington case because it was misleading marketing practices for Bushmaster. So you've now got a lawyer going across state boundaries, by the way, 2 days before the statute limitation expires, into a different state, the one state that has the Supreme Court that says, no, this is perfectly fine, that has a tendency to be a gun control state. I'm sure all of these things are just happy coincidences for a litigant. Wouldn't you say, Tim?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, we'd almost have to be conspiracy theorists to think that this was all somehow interconnected and this was by design.
It's weird, people. And obviously we're laying on the sarcasm pretty thick because that's exactly what's happening. Like you cannot look at this and see anything beyond all the different pieces they're laying out, the extremely thin case, where they are actually filing it, the cause, the timing, everything, and then begging for more people to jump in to make it a class action. A little transparent. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And here's the difficulty with these court cases, right? when you're dealing with state or federally proposed legislation, we have a voice. We can contact our representatives. We can take action. We can push back through the system. When you're dealing with a court case like this, the judge doesn't want to hear from you. They don't care. So when they're pursuing these types of court cases, they can do it in the vacuum of the courts and not have political pressure from the outside influence the outcome.
Yep.
And then all they have to do is pick a friendly court, which is precisely what they've done. So now they can push their agenda forward in a friendly venue and get the outcome they're looking for, possibly, because they've cherry-picked the jurisdiction in which they want to bring this case, and we, the people, have no voice in it, right?
Yep.
So we have to rely on the courts to do the right thing. Now, the court, in all likelihood, is going to do the wrong thing. Or at a minimum, they're going to drag this out over years and try to financially punish Ruger.
I bet you that's it. I bet you he's dragging. That's my money.
Because I can't see, based upon what information is out there right now, this actually getting legs and going somewhere. But even if it does, because of how ridiculous it appears to be, I don't think the federal courts are going to look at this and go, yeah, because if this gets appealed, there's a good chance that it would be undone. But we can't bank on that, right? We just don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Because sometimes the federal courts don't want to get involved in such things. So it's really concerning when these court cases are happening. And what can we do? What can we do going forward as concerned citizens fighting for our own rights? Well, this is why we need to elect two-way-friendly politicians, both at the state and federal levels, because we already have one federal law that protects gun manufacturers. We need to pass another one that protects them from guerrilla, lawsuits like this that are intended to punish gun manufacturers and push them out of business unjustly, so circumventing laws and constitutional protections. So that's what we do. That's what we can do as voting citizens, is get politically involved and push when we get our friendly Congress and hopefully a friendly White House in the near future. We can push to have such legislation passed so that we can stop this onslaught of lawsuits, because this is only going to inspire more down the road until we take that action and stop them in their tracks.
Oh, absolutely. That was very well said. In fact, a little add-on to that. In some states, I believe it's Illinois from my research. I'm pulling this back from memory from another video. But I believe Illinois, they actually elect their Supreme Court justices at the state level. So in some cases, there are different elections that you can actually have your voice heard at the highest court in your state. Now, some are appointed by governors. There's different rules in different states. And like I said, don't hold me to the Illinois thing. I'm pretty sure I remember that correctly. But the point is, you have a choice. You have the ability to be active. And if you go on what Tim was just saying, you get the presidency. That's appointing a whole lot of judges. One thing that Trump did, he actually appointed more judges in 4 years than Obama did in 8. I mean, just to put it on the table, that actually did happen. And then you, of course, saw the SCOTUS nomination as all the shenanigans that happened there. But that's kind of my point, my add-on on that. The other thing that I like to say, Tim, is specifically for you. I think we should add us like at the end of the show. We should just say, "Thanks for watching Second Legacy." Anything else would be un-American. Just kind of like, just really just.
Boy, we're opening ourselves up to a lawsuit there. But yeah, folks, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, because anything less would be un-American. And until next time, we'll see you on The Second Legacy.